We are ready to begin. So, a little bit of introduction. I have been a licensed attorney in Florida since 2004. I was an adjunct professor of college writing and business law from 2004 to 2011. I founded my business, The Writing Guru, in 2010. And since 2010, I've acquired 6 certifications in resume writing, career coaching, and also personal branding. And I hold a renowned certification in the nationally, it's called the Nationally Certified Online Profile Expert. I'm also a founding member of the Forbes Coaches Council and a former board member and ethics chair of the National Resume Writers Association. And like Scott said, I've been featured and published in 50 plus media outlets. If you Google my name, you hit the news tab, you'll see all the media outlets that I'm in. Scott, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'll give a short introduction. I feel a lot of people on our LinkedIn know me. I feel like a lot of people out there know me, but I am Scott Chelson. I'm a pharmacist, but if I describe that to anybody, I don't think they would believe me with the things that I do. So just with a little bit, I'm a director of student transitions and assistant professor at NSU College of Pharmacy. I know a lot of my students are on tonight, so shout out to all my students out there. I've been heavily involved in personal development and leadership. I teach a professionalism and leadership course, and I'm a host of PolitiTalk RX on the Pharmacy Podcast Network. I'm also a member of the Broward County United Way's Community Response Team, where I do a lot of my, which is below, the community leadership and health policy advocacy. To me, we have so much more to do, and as part of my profession with healthcare, there's a lot of missing gaps when it comes to branding, and that's kind of where I found my value and my advantage or benefit in what we are talking about today. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let you go through and really describe all of the tips and tricks. And I want to give a little disclaimer to everybody out there. I don't care what level you're on, whether it be an expert level, whether it be you're a CEO, whether it be you're a student and feel maybe you don't have value. This is going to describe the ins and outs from A to Z. So without further ado, again, Wendy, it's all yours.
All right, so one of the questions that's asked the most is, why do you need a personal brand? And the reason why that's asked a lot is because job searching today has changed dramatically. With job searching changing dramatically, what I mean by that is today, more than 70% of jobs are actually acquired through active networking, and more than 80% of jobs are not posted online. You'd be surprised to know that. And 94% of recruiters and hiring managers look you up on LinkedIn before contacting you. And most importantly, 79% of consumers shop on the web, and more than 51% have purchased from their mobile phones. What does that mean for you? That means that the first place that people go to today is Google. People Google your name, they look to see where you have been, what you've done, have you been in trouble, all of those things. So you need a personal brand, which is your digital footprint. And that is what we're going to be talking about in today, is developing that personal brand. So in order to unlock your personal brand, you have to think about your values, your skills, your goals, the community that you're surrounded by, and the impact that you want to bring. Now, when I mention values, what I mean by that is, what are you passionate about? What makes you feel enthusiastic? What are the top skills and core areas of focus that you hold and possess? And how would that value transfer to any organization that you currently work for or potentially work for? And then think about your goals. What are your long range goals? If you're just starting out as a young professional and eventually you want to progress to a C-suite executive or even just one step below a senior executive, build that 5-year to 10-year plan and think about the goals that you have for yourself. Also, think about the community that you surround yourself. Think about the industry that you're in and how you can build upon that by joining various organizations that will also help leverage your personal brand. And then again, think about the impact that you're going to have both on your community and your industry. So a big question that I get asked a lot is, I'm not job searching right now. Why do I need a LinkedIn profile? So I want to delve into, because this is really important, is what's the difference between your resume versus your LinkedIn profile? And I want you to think about this strategically. When you send out your resume, you're only sending it out to a selected audience, right? You're hand selecting that audience. So I'm applying for a job at Starbucks. I'm sending my resume directly to Starbucks. However, LinkedIn gives you this wide unfettered access to 500 plus million users. So when you have the access that LinkedIn brings, that community, that connectivity, you really need to hone in on that brand much more importantly than just your resume. Your resume is one item. It's one thing that you are bringing forth. Whereas your LinkedIn profile gives you that access to the CEO of Starbucks. It gives you access. If I wanted to go work in the legal department at Starbucks, I can connect with the chief legal officer or the general counsel or someone who's a very senior executive there. So the difference is that LinkedIn also gives you that access to the network, but it's also a way for you to tell your career story. And one caveat that I want you to remember is do not attach or insert your resume into your LinkedIn profile. That is one thing I'm going to emphasize. Let me say it again. Do not attach or insert your resume into your LinkedIn profile. Why? The reason for that is if you think about it, there's 500 plus million users on there. So let's say Scott has a really fancy LinkedIn profile and an even fancier resume that's attached to his LinkedIn profile. I'm in the same field as Scott. I really like what he says, his roadmap, how he describes himself in his professional summary. We share a lot of the same skills. I'm going to now save and print Scott's resume and be able to use some of that for my own personal pecuniary gain. Meaning, if we're both applying for the same job, I now can use the same material that Scott's using in his resume. So do not give people access to your resume. It should only be submitted to the hand select number of people. So do not attach your resume to your LinkedIn profile. And think about it, a lot of times on your resume, you have your home address. You don't want the world having your home address, 500 plus million users. So LinkedIn is your digital footprint. Who's on LinkedIn? Who can you connect with? What can you do with LinkedIn? And we're going to delve into that tonight. First thing that a lot of people think about when they're on LinkedIn is, hey, I'm a job seeker, so I can connect with recruiters, hiring managers, industry leaders. And by industry leaders, I'm talking about the key people of interest at the companies that you would specifically be targeting. You can connect with groups, companies, and alumni of your undergraduate or graduate school. You can build credibility on LinkedIn. You can build thought leadership and get a platform going for your content generation. You can build community involvement, which I know that Scott is going to touch on. And you can also build a content channel and a platform to share exciting things that are happening to you. You can build a content channel that allows you to have your own personal platform that people can follow along with your professional success. So that begs the question, who should be on LinkedIn? Well, by now you're probably realizing it's not just limited to job seekers. It's also business leaders, business owners, writers, authors, professors. Every single professional needs to be on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn right now, after this webinar, you will be on LinkedIn because it doesn't matter what position comes available today. You may not even be job searching right now, but 6 months from now, you may want to consider a job search. Or even, let's say you're not job searching and a recruiter reaches out to you 2 weeks from now. They reach out to you because of your powerful LinkedIn profile. You never know what opportunity can come your way. Let me give you a real world example that happened to me. So I was on the Jenny Hutt show, Just Jenny. And the reason why Jenny Hutt contacted me is because she was on her show last week and she mentioned how she needed to update her resume because she had some board leadership opportunities. And she said, you know, is this a thing? Does anyone know a resume expert? I'm looking for a resume expert. There was a caller on the show, called in. The person is a frequent listener of her show. The person knew about me because they had seen my content online and mentioned my name on the show. Not only did Jenny hire me to help with her LinkedIn brand and her resume, but she also brought me on the show today as a guest to millions of listeners. Since that appearance, I have received dozens of inquiries to my website, hundreds of additional followers throughout my social media channels. I have now built an entire platform and I'm not even a job seeker. So think about the visibility that LinkedIn can give you if you're a business owner or just a standard professional. Next, I want to talk about professional headshot. And if we back up for a second, and let's go back to this, I want to kind of show you the masterpiece behind my headshot and Scott's headshot. We both have used Chris Headshots, who is South Florida's premier headshot photographer. If you are in the South Florida area, please hit up Chris Headshots, let him know that Scott and I sent you. You need a LinkedIn headshot. The reason why you need that professional headshot for your LinkedIn profile is because LinkedIn users with a professional headshot, according to last year's statistics, get 14 times more views than users without one. And let's face it, the selfie that you're posting on your Instagram feed, which is just a highlight reel of your life, is not the appropriate photo that you should be using for your LinkedIn profile. So you can see where I went to Chris's studio, and I use this as an example to show you not only did I have my hair and makeup done to look presentable, but I also had someone there who was assisting me to get in the right position for my headshot. Same thing that happened for Scott. So if you are in South Florida, hit up Chris Headshots. And if you're not in South Florida and you're on this webinar, you can also search for a headshot photographer that has been professionally trained by theheadshotcrew.com. Highly recommend that. So I want to delve into the must-have items that will help you rank higher in search results. And of course, Scott is going to be getting to the nuts and bolts of how to be a stronger content writer on LinkedIn, how to beat the algorithm, how to go ahead and maximize and thrive on the LinkedIn platform. But I want to talk about the must-have items that you need to rank higher in the search results. You need a powerful LinkedIn headline. So for example, if I'm an attorney, saying that I am attorney at XYZ law firm. If someone doesn't know that law firm or what they do, that does not give you enough information. So your LinkedIn headline needs to be broad enough to have SEO optimized keywords. You also need to have a powerful LinkedIn summary. You also need to list the location of where you are, so city and state. And most importantly, you need skills and endorsements. And I'm going to go through each of these momentarily. So creating a powerful LinkedIn headline, everyone should know what SEO means, search engine optimization. Your headline must be SEO driven. Here's the kicker. There's a 200 character limit on the mobile app, but 120 character limit on the desktop. So if you are trying to squeeze in extra characters on your desktop for your LinkedIn headline and you can't go through, switch to the mobile app because you have a 200 character limit. That's really important to know. When you're creating your headline, again, think about important and relevant keywords that recruiters and professionals search for and what will get you more hits in searches. Let me give you a real world example. For a while, I took out executive resume writer from my LinkedIn headline because I'm much more than just an executive resume writer. At the core of what I do, I'm a personal branding and career expert. When I put in executive career branding on LinkedIn, my views dropped. I was getting less outreach from potential clients. And the reason is because the average person that's looking for a resume writer is not going to type in executive career branding. They're just not. They're going to type in, when they're searching for a resume writer, they're going to be typing executive resume writer. So think about it. I see a lot of people on LinkedIn that waste the real estate by putting things like content evangelist, writing guru. Now that's my business name, but I would never put it as my LinkedIn headline. Why? Because people aren't generally searching for a writing guru. Maybe in their mind they are, but they're not typing that into the query for LinkedIn. So again, think about the
Hi,
professional.
Wendy.
Yes. Can you hear me okay? Can everyone still hear me? I hope I'm still there and not talking to myself. You want to think about the optimized keywords that people are using in order to create the powerful LinkedIn headline. Next thing, create a compelling LinkedIn summary. That's really important because that summary is what people read to learn about you. So your summary, LinkedIn gives you 2,000 characters. In the 2,000 character limit, you're able to tell a compelling career story. You're able to give information regarding what it is that you do, the value you bring to an organization, what maybe your key skills are. Again, think about the optimization of the keywords. That is really going to matter to drive more traffic. Next, the skills section is actually really important. With the skills section, I think one of the things you really have to consider is reviewing job postings to see the relevant skills for your industry. For example, and we use this as an example here, someone who's in the technology facet. In the technology facet, you may have to look at things like cloud and distributed computing, statistical analysis and data mining, network and information security, mobile development. These are different optimized keywords for the industry. Next thing also to consider is removing irrelevant skills. So when you remove irrelevant skills, you're also giving yourself prime real estate because you're able to give up to 50 skills for the LinkedIn skills section, and you can pin your most 3 important skills. So when you get a chance, go to your LinkedIn profile, because on your LinkedIn profile, you will see the skills section. I had a client who actually had Microsoft Word as their pinned skill. Now, listen, if you're an attorney, Microsoft Word is important because you're drafting motions and pleadings, but it's not your primary skill. Litigation management, corporate compliance, if you're a corporate attorney, corporate law is going to be really important. Those are the things that genuinely matter, and you want to make sure that your skills section actually and accurately represents your true skill set, not just computer skills like Microsoft Word and filing. If you're filing, I hope that you are an assistant, because unless you're an executive assistant or a secretary, filing is not going to be an important skill. So again, think about the relevant skill sets that you would find in a job description. Now, I'm sure that we also have quite a few job seekers on tonight's webinar. And I wanted to point out something here, and I had to enlarge it so that it would fit, but this is going through my profile. So I simply clicked on jobs. I then went to the career interest tab. And once I hit the career interest tab, this is what's really interesting. You have the ability to let recruiters know that you're open. So you can flip on this switch that LinkedIn started in late 2016. And when LinkedIn allowed that in there, one of the things that they allowed to happen is making sure that your resume was getting filtered the right way to the right recruiters. So make sure that as you are going through the process, you are making sure that you have this switch on that recruiters can actually reach out to you. Another thing that I wanted to mention also is you can list location, you can list types of job titles that you're considering so that you actually filter your job search features for you. That is extremely beneficial. Another thing to consider is as you are setting up these search parameters, you have the ability to check off whether or not you want to work remotely. Another avenue that you have is setting up if you're looking for freelance work, contract work, etc. So all of that really matters. Another thing to consider as you are setting up these career interests is once recruiters, you flip that switch on and recruiters are going to reach out to you, LinkedIn gives you the ability to add a 300 character bio with targeted keywords that will allow you to give information to the recruiters so that they can reach out to you. So let me give a real world example. Let's say you live in Los Angeles, California, and you want to relocate to New York City. You can put something in the blurb that you are looking for a role in media management in New York City. This is so when on your private LinkedIn settings for your job search, you're able to put that there, but you wouldn't normally put that in your public settings, meaning you wouldn't put it in your summary or anywhere in your headline because you're gainfully employed. You don't want to take up the opportunity to lose your job if your current employer sees that. So those are just some things that are really important for the job search. Next thing, One of the biggest questions that I get asked is who should be in your LinkedIn network? Now, this is a really important question because a lot of people don't know once they're starting out with LinkedIn who they should be connected to. And really, you have to think about how do you want your LinkedIn network feed to work. There are some people on LinkedIn that care about the quantity of followers. I actually care about the quality of followers. So I have around 6,600, 6,700 followers on LinkedIn. That's my connections too. And one of the things that I felt was important is I don't accept every person that comes my way. And we'll talk about that a little bit more because Scott has some thoughts on it as well. But think about if you're a job seeker, who would you want in your network? You would want recruiters, hiring managers, people in your industry, people at targeted companies, people who know what you do and who also do what you do. If you're a business owner, you'd want target clients, vendors, key contacts, press and media people, especially if you're a business owner. You should have connections to people in the press and media because that is what will also drive more traffic to you. And there's nothing wrong with being connected to your competitors. I want to kind of stop for a second there and talk about that because I'm connected to a lot of resume writers and career coaches. And I think it's important to be connected to my colleagues who are technically my competitors, but I actually consider them more my colleagues because I refer a lot of people to my colleagues. Sometimes when someone contacts me and they can't afford my services, I refer them to a trusted, well-respected colleague of mine that is connected to me on LinkedIn. Another person to consider connecting to is the key executives at these companies, as well as other employees at the companies who may have a connection to you, may have previously worked for the same company that you have worked for. And then if you're a professional, you want to connect with recruiters, just to leave the door open, key executives, colleagues, and fellow alumni. And I'm actually going to change this over to Scott because he's going to go into great detail about building your LinkedIn following.
So building your LinkedIn and following. So as Wendi had just recently mentioned, she said that her thing is quality over quantity. And one of the things for me particularly is I have a wide, diverse group. We have different initiatives when we're on our social medias, right? So she may be looking at specific clientele for her business and so forth, whereas I may be looking for as many advocates in certain areas for my initiatives as possible, or partners for different initiatives that we're working on, or constituents of some policy that we're also working on. So there's a different approach depending on what it is that you're actually interested in. And I'll say, with that being said, I want to start with some add-ons from what Wendi had mentioned, is having a custom background also sets the tone for building that visual digital footprint. It adds character and depth. So going back a little bit on talking about the consistency in posting, call to action, creating brands, and so on, we're going to talk about that. But starting with your background, if you look at my LinkedIn particularly, I have a nice picture in the background and so forth, but it lets somebody know just what kind of emotion to feel when they come to your brand. When you see a Nike commercial or a big brand like your Reebok or whatnot, you feel a certain way. And that's really what we want to do with your personal brand, is make people feel a certain way as soon as they get there. And a lot of times, like Wendi had mentioned before, is a lot of people are actually going to come to your brand before they even talk to you. They use it as a way to vet you in many ways. So build your brand, build that emotion you expect others to buy into. And most of the time, people buy into people and people's passions. So you always have to filter any site for authenticity and versus plugs for specific products and industries. We know that. We know that people are out there posting a lot of crap, and they're posting stuff that, you know, they're trying to sell you something. And I know a lot of people probably thought we were trying to sell people stuff when we first started this webinar as well. And don't feel any certain way. I feel your pain, because there's a lot of people out there. One of the biggest things that you see here is posting, consistency in posting. I post just about every day, and I'm sure anybody that's following me understands that. It's just really because I post about things, and the next section is the call to action. I post about things that are getting people to respond, getting people to interact, getting people to understand what's going on. The other thing is creating brands through initiatives, right? So if I'm sitting here putting out a proposal for, let's say, a certain initiative that I want, I'm creating this brand around that initiative, telling people we are innovative, or we are, we're doing this particular innovation or invention or project, and we want you to be involved, and why. What the biggest thing there is, people want to be able to say that they could put their brand, whether it be personal or their company, next to what brand you're putting out there. So with the last part, it's create value that can stick. You want to be able to give people gifts in their LinkedIn that they're going to be able to remember. A lot of people come up to me and they say, hey man, I know you from LinkedIn. There's a reason for that. It's not because I'm posting a bunch of annoying things. It's because I'm doing things, whether it be for other people, whether it be for a specific initiative, but I am taking time to let people know. And we'll talk about that in a little bit more so. But again, consistency of posting, a call to action, creating a brand, whether it be personal or not, that people can put their brand, personal or not, next to, and creating value. So people, whether it be that you want to go out there and get a job, or that you want to connect with other people, you got to give them a reason to connect back with you. And that's whether it be a click of a button away. They may not even answer your message if they don't feel attached to that brand. And so we want to go through generating content and connecting with others. And one of the biggest things is when you do post, and I talk to my students all the time about this, and anybody that comes to me, a lot of alumni ask the same thing. I say the same thing to everybody. Talk about your perspective, create information, right? Talk about things that are coming from you, authenticity, very genuine. And advice, those are some things that can also deliver a lot of emphasis for people, that's going to let them know that, hey, you know about this certain subject and you're interested, you're talking about it. And so people can look at billboards all day and grab a message, but the tone and the delivery will never be the same as intended via eye to eye or through a little friend named a video, right? So one of the things here that I want to talk about is having strategy. When you're doing things, when you're posting, it seems like there's a lot. Oh my God, there's so many things to do. It may take so much to post, but really, we're going to go over some simple things. But having a strategy. Why are you posting this? What is your intent? Do you want to engage people in this certain area? Do you want this certain business individuals in this network to follow you? Do you want people to know that you're interested in these areas? And that's also when we're going to go back to the algorithm of LinkedIn of how people are connecting. This is going to give you a basis on that connection. If you have a bunch of people that are in one industry and you're posting completely different things, LinkedIn algorithm is going to stop that. And like I said, we're going to go over that soon. One of the biggest things for me is being transparent. Being transparent about your webinars and how you're coming across. One of the things here is, when I post about initiatives, people say, why are you posting so much about what you're doing? Why don't you try to hide it? And I say, I want people to know because I want more people to engage. I'm not trying to hide anything. I want to be transparent. I want more people to be engaged, be involved, and really understand where we're coming from with our initiative. And that takes a lot of people saying, hearing it more than one time. So that's why transparency is everything. It also creates trust and familiarity. People want to buy into your brand. Now, industry trends and posting about industry trends is another huge opportunity for people, because if you're in healthcare, if you're in law, if you're in business of any type, you post about trends in that business. Now people are starting to do and understand what it is that you're posting about and what it is that you're interested in. So if I'm discussing, let's say, policy in healthcare, because I'm biased to healthcare, I'm in healthcare. If I post about policies in healthcare, well, guess what? People are going to know about that, right? But I want to post about what trends are going on. Well, guess what? These bills are going forward and a lot of states are following. We should all get on this. And I can tell you why. There's a lot of support around the nation for it. That's going to make people want to buy in because they already know that somebody else is supporting it. It probably didn't just come out of nowhere. And now I can start to say, hey, I want to hear a little bit more. Wendy, you had something?
I did. And I wanted to address one thing that a lot of people have a concern with when they come to me for help with their LinkedIn and creating their LinkedIn profile. When I talk about the generation of content and coming up with content to post and content to be able to connect with others, some people say to me, listen, I don't like to post on social media. A lot of my clients come to me, they don't even have a Facebook profile, a Twitter profile, an Instagram profile. LinkedIn is it for them. So if you are the type of person where you're apprehensive, you're a little bit shy, think about other things besides sharing articles that you write or initiatives. You can share things that are accolade based. You can actually share wins and career accolades. So let's say, for example, you attend a conference. Everyone in this webinar, I'm sure, has attended a professional development conference at one time or another. So you can post had a great 3 days at the Professional Resume Writers Conference or the Healthcare Development Conference or the Healthcare Executive Conference. You can actually share if you've won an award, an event that you've gone to, a community. And when Scott talks about initiatives, it's not necessarily about initiative that you're bringing, but it can also be an initiative that's close to your heart. Habitat for Humanity. Maybe you're volunteering at a beach cleanup. You can share those things to show what you're doing out in the community besides just what you're doing in the professional work world. And that will also help you to be able to share it with your network. The idea is to build the connection with others so that you're building a bigger network.
Yeah, and absolutely. I just want to add on to what you just said, actually, is, you'll catch me posting about meetings I'm having with people. And one of the big benefits to that is, A, you get to tag those people. B, you get to hashtag about the initiatives or discussions that you're having, which interest more of a network around you as well. But C, it also gives opportunity for people to share that themselves. Maybe the people that you met with, maybe the company that they work with. So you're tapping into new markets and new networks as you're posting about the things you're doing. Now, you guys will see, I have a phrase that I always use, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I always like to talk about the things that I'm doing because I hate to say this, and it's not about the attention, but it's really because you never know who's watching. You really don't know who's in your network sometimes. There's tons of people that may be connected with you that don't like, don't share, don't comment, but something you post, because you're working on it, it interests them. A lot of people do not know what you're doing despite what you think people know. A lot of people do not pay attention to you. And that's why if you look at things like media marketing or campaign, when you campaign, how many times do you go up to the booth and vote and don't know who is on that ballot? You don't even know the names, but most people will vote for the names that they've seen the most. So consistency of posting and also creating consistency within those specific networks is huge. So we will get into the hashtags and so forth, and I want to go a little bit more into that. Now, with this here, I want to talk about the engagement. And again, we just talked about a little bit about the content engagement. So I want to go over this a little bit. So I talked about an easy way to get involved. Well, a lot of times people are scared to post. I don't know what to post. I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to, come off with this idea that maybe some of the things that I'm posting are not relevant, or who knows who's watching. Completely understood. Some people have companies that are constantly looking at what they're doing. Fortunately for me, I'm a disruptive individual, and that's what my company particularly bought into, but I do things in a professional manner. So this is a professional front at the end of the day. So just keep that in mind. This is not Facebook. This is not politics. This is not fighting with each other or arguing over, who's going to eat where and why and what color the dress is. This is a professional network. So ideally, it's natural that things come out professional. But from the very simplistic form of all of this, sharing somebody's post not only helps show that individual that you shared it, but it also taps into their network, whoever's following them. And then by you tagging or as well commenting, so we'll go up this stream here, commenting on individuals' posts is huge as well, because A, all of the people following them see that comment. I'll tell you, not too long ago, I posted about something, and a lot of times people don't engage. They'll post about something and leave it there for days. People will comment like XYZ, there won't be any engagement following. That's a no-no in the LinkedIn formula. And I'll tell you why, because too many people are looking for a response, not tomorrow, today. And ideally, when you engage with those individuals and you comment back and forth with them, and you're engaging from a perspective that they feel like you're paying attention to them, now you take advantage of that momentum. So commenting and engaging and liking, so important. When it comes to posting itself, I use that as my meat and potatoes right there in the middle. It's really the most simple way of doing this is finding something you're interested in, find an article that you really enjoy, copy the portion of the article that stands out the most, hopefully not the captions, even though we live in a caption society. Post something that's very vital in that article, and then share the link as well, or share a picture, a snapshot from that article, and tell people where to find it. Obviously, you want to quote it, you want to give credit where it's due, or Wendi will be down my back if I tell you otherwise. But the idea is that when you're posting authentic material. Now, whether it be from somebody else or not, the fact that it's coming from you and your opportunity to now write your own personal message on top of it is massive, because now you're giving your opinion or a feeling or an expert opinion specifically about something that people are engaged with. And especially if you're building your network in that specific area, now you're engaging your network even more. So posting, sharing, commenting, and engaging on all levels is so important. But again, from the most simple form, just sharing somebody's post is such an easy way to engage with new network, and it tells somebody, hey, I'm interested, I'm listening. Wendi, I know you had some discussion about this as well. Could you chime in a little?
Sorry about that. I had to unmute myself. So my process and approach to LinkedIn is a little different than most. I know that you post every day, Scott. I actually don't, but a big part of that is time constraints for myself. A lot of times I've got coaching calls throughout the day. I'm writing documents for clients, so I don't have the ability to sit on LinkedIn, all day long. So a lot of times I'll pop on, pop off. And a great rule of thumb for a lot of people who are sort of new to the idea of commenting and engaging on LinkedIn, I recommend the 10-10 rule. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunch. When you're scrolling through your Facebook feed, switch it over to your LinkedIn feed, and then 10 minutes at night. And if you, especially if you're trying to build your network, it will allow you to see new content in your feed. That's important as well. One of the other items to consider is what's called engagement pods, and that's actually very popular. It's grown exponentially in the last couple of years, probably the last 18 months, I'd say. So you can see that there are people on LinkedIn who accelerate their following to 30, 40, 50,000 followers. And really, it's for a lot of people, it's a perception of, hey, I'm an important person of interest. You don't need to have 30,000 followers to build notoriety, build yourself as a subject matter expert. So a lot of people join these engagement pods because they feel like if they're getting the comments on the post, that is driving more traffic, which that is true. But the other thing that happens for a lot of them is they're able to try to convince others that they know what they're talking about, which some of the people do, but some of it is very fake, inorganic engagement. And I'm a big proponent of having organic engagement. So if you're not getting engagement on your post, start to think about your strategy. Some of the posts that I really haven't given as much thought to are the ones that have done the best in my LinkedIn feed. I had one where years ago I had applied to a TEDx and I actually got rejected. And I didn't mention that it was a TEDx event, but my whole post was about rejection. That post had over 65,000 views. Now, what did it do for me? It got me a lot of followers, which was nice. But it's not necessarily about the conversion, right? Sometimes the engagement doesn't necessarily lead to the conversion. Also, this is the great thing about engagement, and this is a true story that happened to me. I had someone hire me this past year, about 6 months ago. They had been following my content for 2.5 years on LinkedIn. They added me, they followed me, and then one day they saw a post of mine in their feed and they said, I need to call her and hire her. So that is something that is, making sure that you are engaging with people because you just never know who will see your content. And so I think that is something to really consider is organic content. Don't feel the pressure that you have to go into engagement pods to get visibility. Start building your network around being around the right people. And I'll defer back to you now, Scott.
Yeah, thank you. And absolutely, I agree 100% with you. I have to give a shout out to one of my students, Emmanuel Escobar, which I'm sure is on LinkedIn and people know of him there. And one of the reasons is because he's literally followed everything that Wendi has told me to do, and we've been talking. So he and I have gone back and forth about personal LinkedIn connections and how to message people. Many times I get a lot of messages from people that are crazy. First of all, if you're doing your summary, back to what Wendi was talking about earlier, please don't put on there that you're looking for a job. That should not be your title, okay? That's first and foremost. It makes you look very desperate, and I do think that, the idea is creating value. People don't want to look like, hey, this guy's looking for a job, that's why he's contacting me, versus, hey, this guy's interested, or a girl is interested in this area, and that's why we're connecting. So I wrote a little mock message. I've seen your recent post. I'm definitely interested in learning more about your current initiatives. I have great interest in this area and could better explain more if you have 5 minutes. The reason I say 5 minutes, I'll tell you why. Because people end up usually giving you 10. So anyone can say no, but they can also say no. That means they wrote back, right? If they say no, they wrote back. They're engaging with you. It also doesn't allow someone to put this in the back burner, because everyone has 5 minutes. Even I, and I'm crazy busy all the time, but I have 5 minutes. The key is that 5 minutes can turn into 20. Also, calendars usually don't go past, or they don't go less than 15 minutes without manipulating them. So there's that. When you schedule something with somebody, it usually offers you a 15-minute window already. Allowing someone to know you're interested in them and their content makes people feel good and creates a level of familiarity with substance. Also, the idea here is not a long message. Do not post a long message. I get these copy and paste messages. I will not even respond back. But you got to remember, so do a lot of people. So when you write a message that's actually authentic and it's long, guess what? The first thing that comes to mind, your spam, your copy and pasting. Let's get out of that mentality. I get right to the point. Love what you're doing. I'm doing the same. Love to connect. 5 minutes. You got it? Yes or no? And then if they don't answer, because we'll talk about this in a second, but if they don't answer, guess what? Reach back out. It's not shameful to reach back out. So what? People get busy. They may read it when they're on the go and not remember it. Remind them. It's okay to be persistent. That's first and foremost. So partnerships. I want to talk real quickly. We're running low on time, and I want to make sure everybody has this full amount of time to ask questions as well. And by the way, there's a chat at the bottom of your GoToWebinar control panel. If you have some questions, basically you can write them in the chat, and we'll go ahead and address them as well, just for your information there. So going over partnerships, I've raised over $100,000 alone on LinkedIn this year. Yes, $100,000. And the reason that I say get out there and talk about your initiatives is because everything I posted about has led to new opportunities. People want to be involved with things that are involved. People want to be involved with things that are happening. So I say this hardcore, toot your horn, because other people will listen. And that is a beautiful thing. You want to talk about the great things you're doing for other people, the community service that Wendi was talking about earlier. Some of those things are really imperative. And again, people do not know what you're doing unless you tell them multiple times. So toot your horn. Those partnerships will come naturally. Now, this is a very important area for me because I want to get into the algorithm, and I will be quick. So the new algorithm launched this year. People you know are talking about things that you care about. That is the overall statement. People overemphasize only top content creators before. So if people were posting a lot and they were going, constantly posting, or just like Facebook, you'll always be in the feed. What they try to do is make sure that everybody is together with the content that they really want, the most relevant to them versus the most recent. So it encourages conversation and engagement. So engagement does matter. It encourages comments, sharing, hashtags. More engagement equals longer time on the feed. So let me go over some of the filters. Filter 1, each post is looked at initially as either spam or good to go. A lot of times spam is going to be flyers, links that are not natural to LinkedIn. You're not posting a video directly to LinkedIn, but you're posting a YouTube video. That's going to be looked at more so like spam unless you get a lot of early engagement. Filter 2, if you pass filter 1, your content will make it into the feed for a short amount of time. Now the system analyzes if your audience engages. You can have 1 million connections from hospitality and then post about dump trucks. And then, well, it's trash. And that's a pun intended, just so everybody out there, I can't hear you laughing, but hopefully you are. So this step is where you're having consistent engagement. People that constantly like your comments or posts are more so than not, that will like your post again and possibly share depending on the actual need for empowerment. If they feel empowered by it and want to empower other people, they will post or share about it. So sometimes friends or colleagues can assist by liking and sharing. So sometimes you can ask a friend, hey, do you mind liking my post? I want to get it out there to your network and mine. This is important for what we call in-branding, and not to be confused with in-breeding, okay? Because this is a workplace method, right? In-branding. So I also do not believe best times, and that's me. I also don't believe in posting at 3 a.m. because I'm not awake. But I know there's a lot of markets that say don't post at certain times. I believe figure out where your market best responds is the answer to that. Filter 3, this is where your network is analyzed. So your post is being analyzed, and basically your network, is it the right people? Again, if it's hospitality, are you posting about hospitality and not the newest shoe sale at Macy's, right? So your content can actually be removed from the feed if it's deemed spamish at this point. Filter 4, this is the stage that actually humans, editors, people that are really, really smart in what they're doing, the Wendi Weiners of the world in LinkedIn, are basically going to check your content, see the engagement, whether they can actually learn from it, data points, whether your content is engaging, and whether they want to help engage more audiences with it, because it's such a powerful post. And this is where people are actually going to be able to say, hey, yes, this is great, keep it going. And sometimes you'll see posts on LinkedIn for months because people are still getting it because of their network. So that's important for the filter, the algorithm. It's very, very important to understand your authenticity, and as well as that you're engaging with networks. So hashtags are very important. And I'll go over some things here. These are two of my posts. The one on the left over here is the one that I shared about an event that I have coming up. Now, give me 1 second, sorry about that. Now, this one on the left got, if you could see there, a lot of views, right? It got 6,000 views. And this is not like Facebook or Instagram views. These are real people. Now, 82 likes, good, 3 comments, whatever. It's not much of engagement there. I've had posts with 48 comments, right? It just depends on what you're posting, what your call to action is. The one on the right, I just shared. That was me sharing somebody's post, and it got 1 like and 125 views. I didn't write anything. I didn't hashtag anything. I didn't comment on it. I didn't even engage. This has nothing to do with me except for the healthcare side, but it wasn't engaging enough to go through the algorithm. And I wanted to show this, as embarrassing as the right is, the left is a little bit better. Now, I will recommend one thing, premium. And why is because if you have the money to invest in yourself, do it. We all have the money to constantly do so many things, go get drinks, go buy food. Food in downtown Fort Lauderdale or any type of major city will cost you $75 alone. This is $60 for an entire month. I'm not working for LinkedIn, nor do I have any engagement with them. Do I make any money from them, even though I wish I did, other than the fact that I do make a lot of money on their platform. But premium has allowed me to engage with individuals that I would have never met at my grocery store, gym, or bank. And that, for that reason alone, I pay to connect with people that don't want to be connected with by normal individuals that are just on the regular platform. They allow you to message those individuals in a private message, and it allows them to get that and see your updates after the fact. So premium is highly recommended. I can tell you thousands of reasons why, but I only have 2 seconds to finish what we're doing. So with what I was getting at here is that there's a lot to do. There's a lot to connect. I want you guys to connect with us. There's a huge opportunity for individuals everywhere to really build their brand, master their skills on LinkedIn. And we will be sending out some of the content from our webinar so that people have some of this algorithm, some of the information there. I really want to make sure that people are, invested in this. But I also want to make sure that your questions are being answered. So I know that we've gone over a lot of things. I don't see any chat questions in the chat, but I do want to give this an opportunity for you guys to connect with us. Wendi is on all social media channels at The Writing Guru and or at her website where you can find a lot of her information. Again, this is not us plugging ourselves, but more so about us trying to connect with you as individuals and offer resources to you. I'm at LinkedIn. That's where I'm at most of the time. I mean, at the end of the day, if anybody calls, I'm probably on LinkedIn. So you can connect with me at LinkedIn and just type in my first and last name. And we definitely look forward to helping you guys out wherever we can. And we're more than open. But Wendi, I know that you had some fillers in now and then. So could you give a little bit of your final statements on this webinar, and then we'll open it up for some more questions.
Sure. So one of the things that I definitely recommend is connect with Scott and I on LinkedIn. We'd love to help support you on the platform. Reach out to us. We want to see how you're doing after this webinar. Send us feedback. We want to know questions that you may have for a future webinar, because we had a lot of outreach and a lot of visibility for this webinar, and we're going to most likely do another one down the road. So if there's additional questions that you have about LinkedIn, whether you're a job seeker, a business owner, or just a regular professional not even thinking about job searching, send us your questions. Feel free to DM me on Instagram or send me a message on LinkedIn. Look forward to having you guys again. And if you go to my recent Facebook post or my Instagram page or even my LinkedIn page, I wrote an article about 20 actionable tips that you can take for your fall job search. And it was published in Thrive Global over the weekend. So feel free to let me know if you want a copy of that article. I'm happy to also send it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, like I said, we're in the chat at the bottom on the GoToMeeting control panel. It's what pulled up when you initially got on. I see some people have already used it. They've basically raised their hand. There's a method on here to raise your hand. But if you go in the chat and you write any questions, we'll be able to answer them. We're going to be on for the next 2 minutes, give or take, unless we see some more questions. But I really want to just kind of hone in on some of the summary items that we've talked about. And I'm going to go through this really quickly, but we've went over some of the ideas of sharing and posting and hashtagging, went over some of the algorithm. We also went over the partnerships. It's been huge for us to partner, talk about those initiatives. Again, be passionate about your posts. Truly, truly, truly be passionate about the things that you're doing. If you're not passionate, if you're not going out there and talking about the things you're doing, nobody will know and nobody will care. The other thing is personalized messaging. How are you messaging with people? How are you connecting? Are you authentic in those messages? Are you really engaging those busy, busy, busy individuals? And look, if you want to get things done, don't be discouraged because people don't answer. A lot of people will not answer because they are busy. But if you want to get things done, a busy person will do it. That's why you got to stay on this platform. Everybody, I recommend getting on your phone, getting the app on your phone as well, because while you're doing anything, whether you're, traveling, not driving, but traveling and as a passenger, or doing some things, in between a meeting, you can literally connect with a couple clicks of a button and fill your contact list up. I personally have 13,000 plus contacts, and anytime I post, I either get direct messages or I'll get a lot of feed going and engagement. So it's really important to understand how that works. Again, sharing, posting, commenting, engaging, how important. It's not just like Facebook. It's really understanding the more people I engage with, guess what? The more networks I'm tapping into. Other side of this, again, give your perspective, give your advice, talk about your strategies or solutions to businesses or world issues. What can we do? You can be an expert in those areas, or at least strike the conversation. Again, building your LinkedIn through following is calling a call to action. And can your brand be something that people want to be a part of? Yes or no? You have to answer that. Again, who should be on your LinkedIn? Job searching, because it's a huge area. And you know what? Stay relevant, because you never know when you're going to be looking for a new opportunity or a better opportunity. Adding skills, it's so important. Get people to endorse you in marketing, and talk about you and all the things that you've done, and they could give a testimony. Talking about your story is huge, but be specific and to the point. Don't give a bunch of run on that you know a lot of people are not going to listen to. Creating your powerful LinkedIn headline, super important. Wendi helped me with mine. I have a great example, and she'll probably tell me that I could better mine today still. How to rank higher. Again, your professional headshot and how important it is. I can't express that enough. The who should be on LinkedIn. All right, so everybody, literally. And then also your digital footprint. Who's going to be seeing this? Again, this is your brand, right? Then then LinkedIn versus your resume. We went over that. Unlocking your personal brand. So what are you sharing? Is it values that you're sharing? And there we go. And why do you need a brand today? People do not see you. People don't see your resume. Most employers will look at your LinkedIn in today's market. I know every employer I talk to will say they literally will go to somebody's LinkedIn first before they even reach back out to that individual, if they reach out to that individual. And I know more than 63% of employers look at multiple websites, including your Facebook. So if you're posting about some crazy stuff that you don't want people knowing or identifying you as, I would start looking into that and trying to make your brand what you want people to buy into. Because at the end of the day, we talk about this a lot in business markets, about fake it to make it. The real definition behind that is not what a lot of people think, is that you're cheating people or hustling people. It's really about creating this brand that you want to become and then become it. Show it, show what you have, and allow people to see it and buy into it so that you understand that confidence is there. Again, 9 people will love you. There will be 1 person that absolutely dislikes you. But what you have to worry about is how you can engage those 9 people and continue to have them coming back and working with you on initiatives alike. So I'm, again, Scott Chelson. This is Wendi Weiner, and we're here to answer any questions you guys have moving forward. I do appreciate everybody's time today, and I'm going to put us right back on. So I just want to give a face to what we're doing. Again, I want to give authenticity to what we're doing. We're not here to sell you anything. Ideally, the only reason that I even told Wendi, or she even spoke about her services, because I badgered her to do so. I wanted her to talk about it because it's helped me so much So I'm not here to sell her services, but I am here to let you know that there are different levels of individuals. And actually on her show today, she was speaking about how many people can say they're resume writers or they'll help you with their LinkedIn and really be in it for other things. They'll do it as an entry level. She is an expert, and people like CNN, Forbes, Entrepreneur, HuffPost. I mean, I could go on and on about the companies that have bought in because of her expertise. And she's, again, helped me out. I ask that all you guys go out, look at my LinkedIn and engage with us. But today, I want each and every one of you to connect with at least 10 to 20 new people in your industry, and including us. And we don't count in that 10 to 20. So make sure you're connecting with as many people as you possibly can. It's important. Today's world is digital. I don't care what anybody tells you. Connect, connect, connect. And I guarantee if you guys go out there, you will see results. So Wendi, I really do appreciate your time. I know we're going to do a lot more together, but I really appreciate your time. And I appreciate all of our guests today. Welcome to what we're doing. And thank you so much for coming. Wendi, thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, I hope you guys had a great day, a great time on this webinar, and we'll be sending an email out for your feedback and also sending some of the recordings out. If you have anything else from us, please let me know. My email directly is sk793@nova.edu, or you can reach me on my personal at schelson. It's skjelson @gmail.com. I'll see you guys soon. Have a great night.